Thank you so much for coming. Should I speak Russian or English? What is better? Окей, по-русски. Спасибо большое за то, что вы пришли. Мы будем мы будем считать, что это наша dress rehearsal перед премьерой в Голливуде. Этот спектакль на самом деле был создан много лет назад по 1260, по мотивам 1260 писем между Baroness и Петром Ильичем Чайковским, которые решили, что они никогда не будут встречаться. И российская музыковед Марина Костолевская, она много лет назад создала этот спектакль, который мы уже исполняли в Нью-Йорке для более многочисленной публики. И я решила, что в Израиле было интересно, но слава Богу, что вы пришли. Что уникального в этих письмах, вы сможете проследить историю отношений двух людей, одна из которых обожала музыку Чайковского, а другой человек, который не смог бы состояться, если бы не было ее финансовой поддержки и ее такого обожания музыки. Вот. И еще у нас, к сожалению, опаздывает самолет, но надеюсь, к концу спектакля к нам приедет потомок Надежды и Петра Ильича Чайковского. К сожалению, он видит из Антарии. Да, вот так случилось, что они никогда не встречались, но у них оказались потомки, потому что ребенок, по-моему, это был сын сестры Чайковского, женился на дочке, на одной из дочек Надежды Филаретовны, и вот так они породнились, и род Формен продолжается. Это достаточно известный род в России. Это те люди, которые барон Формен, который, в общем, развивал дорожное дело. Так что у вас, если досидите до конца, будет возможность встречаться с ним. И потом следующие 2 дня он будет проводить лекции на разные темы, связанные с историей семей и Петра Ильича. И еще Дмитрий, наш актер, он же писатель, человек, который, в общем, в литературе понимает очень много, он будет проводить мастер-класс о том, как пишутся письма. Хорошо, сейчас мы начнем.
19 December 1876. Dear Madam Nadezhda, I am sincerely grateful for all the kind and flattering things that you are good enough to say about me. It's indeed a consolation amid all the failures and obstacles that a musician encounters to know that there exists a small minority of people that genuinely and sincerely loves our art. Devotedly and respectfully yours, Tchaikovsky.
Dear Sir Petrovich, I really do not know how to thank you for your kind indulgence of my impatience. I might have feared that you were merely humoring me, but I value your kindness too much for that to happen. There is so much I would love to tell you about my quixotic attitude toward you, but I am afraid to take too much of your already limited time. So, Petrovich, call me a dreamer or even a crank, but do not laugh, because it would be amusing if you were so genuine and so devoted. With sincere respect and cordial devotion.
Please accept my thanks for their remuneration, which is more than generous for so little. What a shame you don't want to tell me all that is on your mind. I can assure you that it would be most interesting and enjoyable for me, if only because I am also filled with feelings of great affection toward you. These are not mere words. I know you better than you perhaps think. If one fine day you were to take the trouble to write me a letter containing all that you wanted to say, I would be most grateful. With sincere respect and gratitude.
Your kind answer to my letter gave me profound pleasure such as I have not experienced for a long time. But you surely know the common human trait. The more of a good thing you have, the more you want. And although I have promised not to be too demanding, I fear I cannot help myself because I now dare to ask you for a great favor which may surprise you. Please, give me a photograph of yourself. I have two already, but I would like to have one from you personally. I want to search out in your features those inspirations, those feelings which have influenced you to compose music which transports a person in a world of sensations, expectations, desires that life cannot fulfill. My ideal man is a musician, but his personal qualities must be equal to his talent. The first of your compositions that I heard was The Tempest. For several days I was delirious. As soon as I recovered from the initial impression of your music, I wanted to find out at once what sort of man it was who had created such a piece. It seems to me that even more than a relationship, it is similarity of views, of emotional capacities, of outlook that brings people together, so that, though far distant, one can nevertheless be closer to someone. There was a time when I was most anxious to meet you, but now, the more I come under your spell, the more afraid I am to meet you. I don't think I would be able to say anything to you, although it would happen to run into one another somewhere. I should not be able to treat you as a stranger, but I would shake your hand silently. I prefer to think about you at a distance, to hear you in your music, and feel at once with you in it.
I'm not at all surprised that, although you have fallen in love with my music, you do not hasten to meet the composer. You are afraid of not finding those ideal qualities in me that your imagination has endowed me with. And you are quite right. I sense that on close acquaintance with me, you would not find the complete match, the total harmony between musician and man that you dream of. I am sending a cabinet photograph, but not, I think, a particularly good one. In the near future, I'm going to the photographer. For me, an agony as unbearable as any, and then I shall be glad to send you another picture of myself.
I thank you again and again for this lovely photograph. I clasp your hand warmly for you. And your march pattern each. It is so wonderful that it puts me into the happy state of those who have lost their reason and all awareness of the bitter and hurtful things that happen in this world. Goodness, how great is the man who can give another person such moments as those. And how I wish I could creep into your heart when you yourself are listening to your Francesca or some similar piece. How can Wagner, with his realism, be compared to you? He's a profaner of art. Unfortunately, a talented one, but never mind him. I would think that we are not Germans, or we would be obliged to adore him. But now one can say boldly, thank God we have not Wagner, but we do have Pyotr.
I am in a nervous, worried and irritable state of mind, which is very unsuitable for composing. Just now I have become entangled in very unpleasant financial difficulties from which I cannot extricate myself without assistance. You are the only person in the world I am not ashamed to ask for money. In the first place, you are very kind and generous. Secondly, you are wealthy. I should be most distressed if you were to find my request indelicate. Anyway, I am sure that however you take this letter, it cannot change your opinion of my honesty. I am engrossed on the symphony I began writing in the winter, which I would very much like to dedicate to you, because I think you will find in it echoes of your own feelings and thoughts.
I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, most respected Petrovich, for the trust and friendship you have shown me in your appeal in this matter. I especially appreciate that you waited to me directly, and my sincere hope is that you will continue to do so, as to a close friend who loves you sincerely and deeply. You have given me no answer to my request to be allowed to write to you whenever I want to receive a letter from you, to correspond from an inner urge and not just from business. Pious people need the apostles and ministers of their religion, however degraded, but I am with you, the pure minister of my beloved Lord's heart.
Thank you, dear Nadezhda Filaretovna. Please realize that you have rescued me from a very, very nasty situation, and I shall never forget your help, as generous as it was delicate. I hope that before you leave Moscow, you will write again and give me your summer address. I shall be very happy to keep up an active correspondence with you.
I have been in the delightful Ukraine for almost a month now. I am terribly fond of my estate, Daria. My amusements here are music, driving a cab, boating, target practice with a revolver, not worrying about hitting the target, billiards, reading, and walking, work, estate, and sugar factory business, which has given me much trouble because it requires a lot of workers. And you know how difficult it is to find any. My house is very full at the moment. My eldest daughter, Sasha, with husband and a child. My second daughter, Yulia, then 9 years old, Sonia, and Yulichka, or Bebe, as she is called by the family. Then comes the sons. 2 boys are students at the boarding school of jurisprudence, and the other 2 are 7 and 8 years of age. Besides the family, there are also 2 French and 2 German governesses, 2 of your conservatory pupils, and an English tutor to the eldest boys. In addition, there is a state manager, the director of factory, and many employees. You wrote about your symphony in one of your letters, Petrovich, asking about my wishes concerning its dedication. Allow me first to ask you a question. Do you consider me your friend, on the grounds of my sympathy toward you, my regard for you, my interest in you, and my unbounded desire for your good. I count myself as your friend. But as you have not once yet called me that, I do not know if you acknowledge me as a friend and treat me as such. If to this question you can answer yes, I would be very pleased if you would put on the title page of your symphony that it is dedicated to your friend, without mentioning my name.
You ask me if I can call you my friend. Can you doubt this? And surely you must realize from my letters that I deeply value your friendship and that my friendly feelings toward you are most sincere and most warm. How pleased I would be at some time to show you, not in words but in deeds, the full power of my gratitude and my love for you. On the symphony I'll put dedicated to my friend, as you desire. Here's a brief account of all that has happened to me recently. First, I must tell you that much to my own surprise, I became engaged towards the end of May. This is how. A short time before, I had received a letter from a girl I knew and had met. I learned from it that she had bestowed her love on me a long time ago. The letter was so openly and warmly written that I made up my mind to answer it, something that I had studiously avoided in similar circumstances before. Although my reply gave her no hope of reciprocation, this struck up a correspondence. I'm not going to tell you details, but the upshot was that I agreed to visit her. What did I do this for? It now seems to me as if some power of fate led me to the girl. So, one fine evening, I went to my future spouse and told her frankly that I did not love her, but at any rate, I would be her devoted and grateful friend. I described my character to her in detail, my irritability, my changeable disposition, my unsociability, and finally my circumstances. Thereupon I asked her if she wished to be my wife. Her answer was, of course, affirmative. My marriage will take place in the next few days. What will happen after that, I don't know.
I congratulate you. I congratulate you with all my heart, dear, on your new step. Always a gamble, but in your case, I am only glad because for a person with such heart of gold, with such a delicate capacity for feeling, it would be a sin to hide such a precious gift under a bushel. You have made another person happy. Consequently, you too will be happy. And in all fairness, who should not be happy if not you, who bring so much excitement and enjoyment to others? I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the dedication. The symphony will be the light of my life.
Strange and presumptuous as it may seem, Nadezhda Filaretovna, I am compelled to turn to your material assistance again. It's like this. Out of the sum you know of, I had enough left for the trip to the Caucasus and to last the summer quite comfortably without staining myself too much. Then matrimony came on the scene. All the money went on the wedding and on the expenses it entailed. We have in fact nothing to live on. Nothing for an apartment, nothing for me to go to the Caucasus with, although I really must go somewhere far away to be alone and to think things over calmly, take a cure, and lastly I must work to be able to get over my recent anxieties. I still cannot decide whether I am happy or the reverse. I only know that I am completely unable to work. that is a sign of my terrifying and abnormal state of mind.
Go for a cure. Do not stand, Pyotr Ilyich. Go. I hope your next letter will be lent there and will tell me everything about you. I so look forward to your letters.
You will probably be very surprised when you get this letter from Switzerland. Here's what has happened. In Moscow, I fell into despair. I saw death, which seemed to be the only way out. I began to have moments of madness when fierce hatred towards my unfortunate wife became so strong that I felt like strangling her. I could not carry on my work either at the conservatory or at home. It was at my wit's end, yet I could blame no one but myself. Something awful happened to me that I can't remember at all. Then I started to come round. It turned out that my brother had managed to confer with my wife and Rubinstein to arrange matters so that he could take me abroad to avoid scandal and gossip. My brother and Rubinstein had agreed to spread a rumor that I am ill. Now here I am in beautiful surroundings, but in a most dear mental state. What happens next? Obviously I can't go back to Moscow now. I can't see anyone. I am afraid of everybody. I can't go on with anything. I need money again, and there is no one I can turn to but you. It's awful. It really hurts and saddens me, but I must grasp the nettle and appeal again to your inexhaustible kindness. Oh, if only you knew how far removed I am from any desire to take your kindness for granted. Oh, my dear friend, kind friend, I should like to tell you many things. I should like to describe my wife in greater detail and why living together is impossible. Why all this has happened and why I have concluded that I shall never get used to her. But I can't give a calm account yet. Forgive me, I am very, very unhappy.
How inexpressibly delighted I was to get your letter. My dear kind friend, hearing in Moscow about your departure frightened me so much that I didn't know what to think, nor could I work out why I had not known about it before. Now I know everything that has happened to you, my poor friend, and however much my heart may ache at all you have suffered, and all that has ruined your life, I am still glad that you have taken the decisive step that was essential and was the only right one in the circumstances. As to my personal feelings toward you, my goodness, Pyotr Ilyich, how can you, for one moment, imagine that I might despise you? I feel your life and sufferings as if they were my own, and everything you feel and do is dear to me. Also, my dear Pyotr Ilyich, why do you upset me by worrying so much about the money? Am I not close to you? You know how fond of you I am, don't you? By worrying about the money, you will spoil my pleasure in caring for you and seem to indicate that I am not close to you. But why so? It hurts me. And if I wanted anything from you, you would do it, wouldn't you? So wait, please. And please don't interfere in my housekeeping for you. You will make me very happy, Pyotr Ilyich, by accepting an annual allowance of $6,000.
You will make me very happy by accepting an annual allowance of 6,000 rubles. You have abundant evidence that in very adversity and every fit of sadness, I instinctively turn to you in thought, and like a child in its mother's arm, I receive comfort in your friendship. Until I met you, I did not know that such a tender-hearted and altruistic people could exist. I am equally astonished by what you have done for me and by how you have done it. There in such warmth and friendship in your letter that it would be enough to make me love life again and steadfastly endure its hardship. Thank you for all this, my inestimable friend. Every note that flows from my pen from now on will be dedicated to you.
do I really love music as you love? Because cucumbers or Tchaikovsky. But one can compare two completely different things. I love music for the state it induces in me. You see, music brings me into the same state as a glass of sherry does, a state I find most lofty and most ravishing. A striving for the unknown is so perplexing, inexplicable, and at the same time so luxurious, so intoxicating, that one would wish to die experiencing it. Recently, I was accompanying the violin in the Andante from Pyotr's Quartet, which always gives me that sort of feeling and ends with a shiver through all my nerves, but I am never satisfied with our performance of the passage where the theme is in B flat minor. I don't think anyone realizes the desperate yearning expressed in it, but it does take my breath away. Music is a divine art, and in it, in the divine spark of human nature, manifests itself.
There is one thing in your letter I never agreed with, and that is your view of music. I especially dislike your comparison of music with intoxication. Man has recourse to wine to deceive himself, to provide himself with an illusion of well-being and happiness. Is this that music does? Music is not deception, it's a revelation. And its conquering power is that it reveals to us elements of beauty which are not accessible in any other way, and the contemplation of which reconcile us to life, not just for a moment, but forever. Certainly, it's not a physiological phenomenon. Nonetheless, in spite of our different views on musical enjoyment, one thing is absolutely certain, and that is that you and I love music with equal passion. It means that you love the art to which I have dedicated my life so deeply and that you call divine.
You see, Piotr, I am a realist. I need poetry of the most passionate kind, but it must be founded on reality. The joy of having a child is full of this real poetry, and I feel it passionately. Realists differ from idealists in not pursuing the impossible, not creating ideals according to theological concepts, but thinking, analyzing, and solving the problems of substantial burdens in life. I am a realist, but what I put highest in man is the heart with all its abilities. Of course, a heart without intelligence is of little use to humanity, but intelligence without a heart is positively pernicious. I have no religion as it is generally understood. My God is my own moral idea. Everlasting life I understand simply as a metamorphosis, for nothing is lost in nature. My paradise and Hades exist only on earth. When I see on earth something kind, honest and good, I am so happy. I experience such bliss as I doubt I would have experienced in heaven.
My attitude to the church is quite different from yours. For me, it has retained much poetic charm. I very often go to the Eucharist. The liturgy of Saint John Chrysostom, in my opinion, is one of the greatest of all artistic creations. From one point of view, I am still bound to the church by very strong ties. From another, like you, I lost all faith in doctrines long ago. This dogma of retribution, in particular, seems monstrously unfair and unreasonable. Like you, I can't believe in individual immortality. I have become convinced that there is no eternal life, but conviction is one thing, and feelings and instinct are another. Despite the overwhelming force of my convictions, I shall never be reconciled to the idea that my mother, whom I loved so dearly and who was such a wonderful person, has disappeared forever. And I shall never be able to tell her that I still love her just as much after 23 years separation.
Piotr, if you get homesick and want to return to Russia without being seen. Come here to stay. Not with me personally, of course, but at my house in Moscow. I have entirely convenient apartments where you won't need to worry about anything. My household has everything ready, and all that we shall share in common will be the household stuff, and our dear friendship in the same way as now. In my house, it is very easy to hide completely. You know what this secluded life I lead, and all the staff are accustomed to being like a garrison in a port.
I'm homesick. It is only when you live away from Russia that you realize all the strength of your love for her. But the whole point is that it's impossible for me to return. And you know why? You want me to sketch you portrait of my wife. I'll willingly do so, although I fear that it won't be objective enough. The wound is still too fresh. She's of medium height, blonde, fairly and handsome in appearance, with a face possessing the special kind of beauty that is called prettiness. Her eyes are beautiful color, but expressionless. Her lips are too thin, and so her smile is not a pleasant one. She has a rosy complexion. She is very affected, and there is not a single movement or gesture which is straightforward. At any rate, her appearance is favorable rather than the contrary. But now that I come to describe her character and intellect, I need an defect. It's difficult. Her head and her heart are both completely empty, so there is not much to describe. I can only swear to that she has never once expressed a single idea or shown any feelings toward me. It is true that she showed affection, but it was affection of a particular kind that consists of endless hugging, endless tenderness, even at those times when I was unable to conceal from her my perhaps undeserved antipathy, which was increasing hourly. I felt there was not real feelings beneath the cares. It was something conventional, something she regarded as necessary, and a tribute of married life. She told me that she had been in love with me for 4 years, and also that she was quite a reasonable musician. Imagine, in the light of these two facts, that she did not know a single note of my compositions.
Thank you very much, Dmitry, for the sketch of your wife. She was just as I expected. And this is why I never send my daughters to any boarding school. Good characters usually get spoiled, bad ones get worse, and the empty-headed become your work of your soul. You are not to blame for anything. Rest assured she will not suffer at all being separated from you. She is one of those happy characters, fully developed by the appropriate education, who cannot feel sorrow deeply or for long. They live on the surface, not knowing what really deep feelings are. I am opposed to all external appearance, from beauty of countenance to anything that is devoid of moral or vital meaning. I attach absolutely no importance to a person's beauty. You may say it is because I'm not a young woman, but I can tell you, I have not always been old, and my opinions crystallized long ago. And if you should also happen to think that I do not dream anymore, then let me tell you that I ceased to be a dreamer from the age of 17, in essence, when I married. Perhaps you do not realize, I have not always been rich. For the greater part of my life, I was poor, very poor. My late husband was a transport engineer and was in public service, which brought in 1,500 rubles a year. That is all the money we had to keep us with 5 children and also my husband's family. Not very luxurious, you see. I I had to be wet nurse, nanny, servant, tutor, and seamstress to all my children and also my husband's valet, bookkeeper, secretary, and maid. There was plenty of work, but I did not mind. But one thing was unbearable. Pyotr, do you know what public service is like? Do you realize that in public service a man is supposed to forget that he has a mind, a will, human dignity? He's supposed to be a puppet, an automation. That is what I could not allow my husband to become. And I ended up begging, imploring him to leave the service and to start our own business in the railroads. He said we would have nothing to eat if we did. And I answered that we would work hard and would survive. When at last he agreed to my relentless requests and resigned, we found ourselves in such a position that we had to live on 20 kopecks a day. It was tough, but I did not regret what we have done even then.
From everything that you write and from some biographical details that emerge from your letter today, I have come to the conclusion that you are without doubt a person of strong character, goal-orientated nature, as yours could not but arrive at firm convictions. How weak-willed I am in comparison with you, inadequate, indecisive, and pitiful. This is not just a show of self-disparagement. It's a real consciousness of how flabby and weak I am. I guess you have drawn the same conclusion from my admissions, and I am ashamed of it. I feel just like a dwarf must feel when conversing with a giant. I really mean this. After everything I read in your letter, my respect, my love for you have become greater. If that's possible, but at the same time, I have become overwhelmingly aware of my own insignificance.
I have a few 3 minutes that I'd like to spend with you, dear friend. The more so because I feel sad. My heart is full of longing. My head is full of gloomy delusion. And ahead lies hopeless emptiness. I am afraid. I want to weep till my heart bursts. I want oblivion to go out of my mind so as to feel nothing. Oh God, if only at this moment I could hear music that undaunted from your first quartet. It expresses precisely the desperate melancholy I feel at this moment. I think if I were to hear it now, I would stop breathing. My heart would burst, and I would feel better. Have you ever loved? I don't know. You love music too much to be able to fall in love with the woman. I know one love episode in your life, but I find so-called platonic love is only semi-love, a love of imagination, not of the heart, not the feeling that goes deep in the person's flesh and blood, and without which you can